Hi, my name is Panagiotis Paspaliaris and I'm candidate for the European Parliament with the Greek party name Topotam, the river. I chose to do that because I wanted to remind you of a forgotten story. The story of this boy here, little Alan Kurdi. Do you remember this boy? It was September the 2nd, 2015 when you saw that picture. Do you remember where were you when you saw that picture? Your feelings maybe? Do you remember if anybody was blamed or investigated or even put in jail for this crime? Because this is a crime, isn't it? Some people try to do something about this. Well, I try to do something too. I searched for 3 years trying to understand who is to blame for the death of Alan Kurdi and also the deaths of 1,200 people in the Aegean Sea. Back in 2015 and 2016, the war in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, forced a lot of people out of their houses. They stayed in camps in Lebanon and Turkey, millions of them, and Tayyip Erdogan, the leader of Turkey, was desperate to send some of these people out of his country, preferably in Europe. Back in 2015 and 2016, his strongest allies were his family here, the Al Thani family. They are the rulers of Qatar, and also some sheikhs and princes of Saudi Arabia, notably this man here, Abdullah Saleh Kamel, the richest private of Saudi Arabia, the founder of the Islamic banks around the world, and probably the most well-estimated businessman in the Islamic world. Those people tried to make a deal, probably with Europe, and especially with Chancellor Merkel. The deal was to transport 1 million people in Europe. Can you blame them for that? I don't think so. They just wanted the people to have normal lives in some country in Europe. But there are a few questions that nobody asked. For example, who opened the borders? Why did they choose this passage, the sea passage, when they could transport those people with safety, with boats and then trains to Europe? Who chose to do that? Let us deal with the questions one by one. Back in 2014, Greek authorities were patrolling the Aegean Sea. The German government suffocated the Greek government through the negotiations of the financial help programs to Greece. A few days later, we had elections in Greece, and then a young leftist leader, Alexis Tsipras, got control. He became the new prime minister. He was very hostile to Chancellor Merkel, but I guess this was just one of his lies. Who is Alexis Tsipras? What people do not know is that his family was a big construction family back in the 70s, and they got a big project, the road from Jeddah to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Their major subcontractor was a young entrepreneur, Abdullah Saleh Kamel. In 1974 they decided to leave the project to his hands, so they helped him to become what he is now. Now it seems that an invisible hand actually put Mr. Tsipras on power in 2015. His first order was to the Coast Guard to stop patrolling. So the flood of the people began. Only a few weeks before the elections, people from here, apparently here and here moved to the coast of Turkey. They got a message to move there, and some of these people got some money too to pay for the trip. Let's come to the toughest question. Who actually chose this passage? The Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, actually was the person who invited the refugees when the flood began. She was rigid, tough, very logical, but at that time she chose to be some kind of Mother Teresa to the refugees. So, in my opinion, it was Chancellor Merkel who actually did all the deal with the Al Thanis. She even discussed that with Abdullah Saleh Kamel. She put in power Alexis Tsipras, and she chose the road of the refugees to Europe. Why did she do that? Well, actually she could not explain to her people the transportation of 1 million people of Syria and Afghanistan to her country. And also, every time that we had news about refugees being drawn in the Aegean Sea, there was a big sympathy raised in Germany, and it helped Chancellor Merkel. She was praised by Barack Obama, by United Nations, even by parties of the left. Nobody could speak about this deal, and nobody blamed her for the deaths in the Aegean Sea. At that time, in 2016, the German exports to Saudi Arabia raised to really big numbers, and also in 2017 it was Qatar actually who backed up Volkswagen Group in the emissions scandal. I don't think I would be elected in the European Parliament. I'm just doing this video so that other candidates who said about this crime. If I was elected, I would then stand up against those two leaders, Alexis Tsipras and Chancellor Merkel, and I would ask them, do you remember where were you when you saw that picture? Do you remember your feelings? Did you have any? Did you do something about that? Do you feel responsible about that?